The Gay Agenda, Political Conspiracies, Demedicalisation. Previously, in 1989, two Harvard graduates, both gay men, published the book After the Ball, Political Conspiracies. There are two different avenues to gay liberation: education, i.e. propaganda, and politics. Politics, meaning efforts to secure gay rights by conspiring with liberal elites within the legal and legislative systems. The dissemination of propaganda is enormously expensive and difficult, so little has been done to date. Instead, activists have concentrated their efforts on politics. In other words, prior to 1989, political activism was the primary strategy of LGBT activists in the United States. Let's examine its effect. This is the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders by the American Psychiatric Association. DSM-II defines sexual deviations in a broad category as personality disorders and certain other non-psychotic mental disorders. DSM-II sexual deviations include sexual orientation disturbance, homosexuality, fetishism, pedophilia, transvestism, exhibitionism, voyeurism, sadism, masochism, and other sexual deviation. In 1973, the American Psychiatric Association removed the diagnosis of homosexuality from the second edition of its DSM. How has the 1973 decision in the United States impacted Singapore? On 4th of May 2020, nominated MP Ms. Anthea Ong asked whether the Ministry of Health would consider stating an official position against conversion therapy, as it is not approved by expert bodies in psychology, including the American Psychiatric Association. The Ministry of Health replied, "Homosexuality has not been considered a psychiatric diagnosis since 1973 by the American Psychiatric Association Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders." In June 2021, the Singapore Psychological Society posted on their Instagram, "Homosexuality was once considered a mental illness. In 1973, homosexuality was removed from DSM-II. Why was homosexuality removed from DSM-II? Meet gay activists Franklin Kameny and Barbara Gittings. Gittings and Kameny wage a multi-year campaign for the declassification of homosexuality as a mental disorder. Let's look at the sequence of events that led to the declassification of homosexuality as a mental disorder. In 1970, the Gay Liberation Front and Gay Activist Alliance demonstrated at the annual meeting of the American Psychiatric Association.
A group came storming in, dressed rather fantastically with feathers in their hats, so they were going to attend some costume ball, making noise, and broke up the meeting. They broke it up.
According to one of the protesters,
"We were not polite. We were not quiet. We were not asking for favors. We were just trying to delegitimize their authority."
A psychiatrist, John Fryer, recalled,
"I, frankly, at the beginning, remember the sense that I was embarrassed by it and that I wished they'd shut up."
The next year, 1971, Gittings, Kameny, and fellow agitators stormed the meeting, and Kameny seized the microphone, demanding to be heard. Frank Kameny: "We are here to denounce your authority to call us sick or mentally disordered. For us as homosexuals, your profession is the enemy incarnate." Kameny sent a letter to the Psychiatric News saying, "Our presence there was only the beginning of an increasingly intensive campaign by homosexuals to change the approach of psychiatry towards homosexuality, or failing that, to discredit psychiatry." While some gay activists openly campaigned externally against the APA, other gay activists quietly politicked for change from within the APA. This is Alex Spiegel, a radio producer and science journalist who is also the granddaughter of John Patrick Spiegel, President-elect of the APA in 1973. In a radio interview, she revealed,
It turned out that my grandfather had had gay lovers throughout his life. My grandfather was a closeted homosexual with a very particular agenda.
John Patrick Spiegel was part of a group of gay psychiatrists in the APA.
A loose underground group which they jokingly titled the Gay PA. These were men who, like John, had made it through medical school without detection and continued to hide their sexual preference except to one another.
There was also another group within the APA.
The Young Turks were all psychiatrists, all members of the APA, and all liberal-minded Easterners who had decided to transform was American psychiatry's approach to homosexuality. The Young Turks proposed candidates for office, politicked for internal change.
Political activism was happening both inside and outside of the APA.
The gay activists hit upon a piece of political theater so outlandish that it actually managed to shake the dinosaurs at the APA.
Gittings recruited Dr. H. Anonymous, John E. Fryer, who appeared masked and using a voice modulator.
As Dr. Anonymous, John would address the members of the APA at the 72 convention in Dallas.
Gittings, Kameny, and Dr. Anonymous asserted that the disease was not homosexuality, but toxic homophobia. George Weinberg is known as the father of homophobia. The term homophobia was invented and popularized by his book, Society and the Healthy Homosexual. The book was published that same year, in 1972. The author coined the term homophobia, calling it a sickness as opposed to homosexuality, which is healthy. In short, at the 1972 APA convention, gay activists did not present any scientific medical evidence related to homosexuality. In place of medical science was theatrics and a new idea. Homophobia, not homosexuality, is the mental disorder. Moving from 1972 to 1973, what was the turning point that led to the removal of homosexuality from DSM-II in 1973? Ronald Gold, a founding member of the National Gay Task Force, recounted what happened at a gay bar in 1973 that changed history.
Robert Spitzer, an obviously straight man in a position of power at the APA, appeared at the bar, and that's when it happened, in front of Robert Spitzer and the Grand Dragon of the Gay PA. A young man in full army uniform
decided that he had to go to a gay bar for the first time in his life. And somehow he got directed to this particular bar and saw me and all these gay psychiatrists, and he just cracked up. It was a very moving event. I mean, this man was awash in tears. That was what decided Spitzer right then and there, let's go write the resolution. And so we went back to Spitzer's hotel room and wrote the resolution.
Right then, that night.
Right that night.
December 15th, 1973. The American Psychiatric Association decided today that homosexuality is not a mental disorder. Ronald Gold, Frank Kameny, and Barbara Gittings celebrate in 1973 the APA decision to remove homosexuality from its Manual of Mental Illness. Kay Tobin. This was always more of a political decision than a medical decision. Barbara Gittings. It never was a medical decision, it was a political move. Jeffrey Weeks. The decision of the American Psychiatric Association to delete homosexuality from its published list of sexual disorders in 1973 was scarcely a cool scientific decision. Neuroscientist Dr. Simon Lafay. Gay activism was clearly the force that propelled the APA to declassify homosexuality. Should medical healthcare be based on science or politics?
Science, in many respects, has been hijacked. I don't think should base a civil rights movement on the suppression of certain data.
Former president of the APA, Dr. Nicholas Cummings, the APA has permitted political correctness to triumph over science, clinical knowledge, and professional integrity. Do you consider the APA's decision to declassify homosexuality as a mental disorder a medical breakthrough or medical malpractice? The APA's 1973 decision has become a cornerstone, the foundation or premise for which an increasing number of societal policies are based on or advocated for globally, even in Singapore. To what extent should Singapore allow the APA's decision to influence our perspectives, laws and policies on homosexuality? Moving from homosexuality to transgenderism. Until the recent emergence of trans activism, transgenderism has often, if not always, been associated with a mental disorder called gender dysphoria. Just as gay activists had fought to demedicalize homosexuality, trans activists in recent years have also been fighting to demedicalize transgenderism.
So gender dysphoria is effectively a discomfort between your real biological sex and the way in which your mind feels.
It's recognized as a medical condition.
It is. However, there are trans activists who are trying to get that removed. And that is a terrifying prospect for me. The medical aspect is certainly real.
Transgenderism has become a political issue, which it really shouldn't. I always argue in favor for the fact that it should be treated as a neurological issue. But there is this movement to demedicalize what being trans is. When you remove any meaningful way to diagnose something, all you have left is the politics of it.
In May 2019, the World Health Organization will stop classifying transgender people as having a mental disorder. Elite conspiracies blow apart unless fortified by a significant shift in public attitudes. Our political success could be greatly advanced by a media campaign conducted prior to or simultaneously with political initiatives. Have you seen the ads and slogans?
Look, trans people are this. Trans is beautiful. I hate that so much. Trans is beautiful.
It's becoming more prominent. I mean, it's catching on because it's the hot topic. It's all over the media, social media in particular. It's in the entertainment industry. And now, of course, it's made its way into education.
Remember that gender is not binary, right?
There's a spectrum.
We've been discussing a lot of the gender issues in class.
It's okay to be what you want to be.
I was born as a girl, and then on the inside, I feel in the middle.
How has demedicalising transgenderism impacted trans people and society?
I'm a true scum, by the way.
I was going to ask you, what's true scum?
What is that?
I make up these words. A true scum is a person like myself who's a transsexual person who believes in the medical gender dysphoric transition. And these people are saying that what I am is wrong.
Hi there, my name's Vera. I'm trans. I don't have dysphoria.
I'm sorry, but when you get rid of the medical criteria, then you're expanding what trans is, and you have kids being diagnosed as trans, going and having life-altering surgeries and going on hormone replacement therapy. LGBT activist and trans woman Rachel Levine, the current US Assistant Secretary of Health, promotes gender transitioning for children.
The first phase, at the young adolescent age, is to give what are called a pubertal blocker, to give a medicine to block the progression of puberty, so you don't go through the wrong puberty. And then somewhere between 14 and 16 years of age to start slowly cross-gender hormones.
Wrong puberty? Is this claim based on science? What are your views on children undergoing gender transition? Scott Nugent, a trans man and founder of Transrational Educational Voices,
is that medical transitioning has huge medical complications. We have kids right now at 22 going, I cut my dating pool, down by 90%. I have early onset osteoporosis. I've got heart issues. My mental health is terrible. I've shortened my life by 12 years. I can't have children. I was a straight girl. Now I have to live my life as a gay man, looking like a gay man, when I really didn't have to. That was from a suicide letter that I got. Wow. That this trans woman wrote to his parents and said, why did you let me do this? I was just a kid.
Blair White, a trans woman, tweeted, "If you believe children shouldn't be able to drive, drink alcohol or get a tattoo, but should be able to chemically castrate themselves and transition, you're either a monster or a moron."
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
These children are in danger. They're being misled in a way that says, you're trans, that's okay, nobody can question you, not even your parents. Do you know that? Not even your parents can question you.
Kids as young as 4 can now change gender in Scottish schools without parental consent. Transgender students should use whatever bathroom or locker room they prefer. Gender-neutral uniforms and inclusion of transgender characters in lessons and reading materials are being developed.
She was being socially transitioned by the school without my knowledge. I know now that this therapist had been calling my child a boy and using their, made-up name.
Should we be concerned about LGBT politics in Singapore? In February 2021, the Workers' Party raised questions about gender-based discrimination in schools in Parliament. James Lim asked whether there are any plans by the ministry to systematically compile preferred gender pronouns for students and to ensure that teachers respect such pronoun usage in class. Do you recall that just 2 years prior, in 2019, WP's chief Pritam Singh said that WP will not participate in the culture war over LGBT issues because this is prejudicial to the common good of Singapore? Is the Workers' Party shifting their position regarding LGBT issues? In view of how far the fence is being pushed in other countries through politics, what is best for Singapore?
For the past 11 months, Canadian father Robert Hoogland's now 15-year-old daughter has been receiving testosterone injections by court order.
This will not change her DNA. She will not become a boy. She's going to forever have a lower voice. She'll forever have to shave because of facial hair. She won't be able to have children. She won't have a family. And I kept saying, no, this is not going to happen. I'm not consenting.
The highest court in British Columbia declared that Rob's daughter should continue taking testosterone. It also placed a conduct order on Rob, demanding that he continue to acknowledge and refer to his daughter as male and employ male pronouns.
The father was charged for speaking publicly on this.
We're here in front of the BC law courts to find out what is going to happen to the BC father who spoke out against publication bans about his story about his child who was medically transitioned without his consent. And the verdict is in. Justice Taman felt that an appropriate sentence for this father was to go to prison between 6 to 9 months. And yes, that's right, prison.
Political conspiracies. Efforts to secure gay rights by conspiring with liberal elites. Forge a little entente or conspiracy with the power elite to jump ahead of public sentiment or ignore it altogether. Demonstrate both our electoral muscle and savvy backroom politicking. Political conspiracies. Is this ethical? What is its impact on LGBT persons, healthcare professionals, and society? In the next episode, we will review science cited by LGBT activists in support of the APA's 1973 decision and the LGBT movement. Follow us on